Alrighty. So today we're going to get started by working on percentiles. And this is the beginning of chapter 2. We're only going to do a part of chapter 2, being that we're a regular stats class, but we will be describing location of a distribution. So today we are only going to work on this portion here. We are only going to find and interpret percentiles of an individual value within a distribution of data. Your other 3 lessons will be about estimating percentiles in a cumulative relative frequency graph. And then in 2 weeks, we'll talk about z-scores and how transforming data changes a distribution. So our first portion here, the most important part is you want to write down this vocabulary. This vocabulary you'll need when you start your vocabulary models next week. So a percentile is the percentage of observations that are less than or equal to it. So in your notes, I really want you to highlight this part here. It has to be less than or equal to. So if you need a highlighter, raise your hand. Or you can use the markers there. Ms. Andrade, do you mind giving a highlighter right here? Or you can use the markers. The highlighters are in the red, top red. So it's very important that you highlight less than or equal to. This is the most important part. So the percentile is going to give you the location. So for instance, if you have looked at some of your test scores and it tells you you're in the 80th percentile, that means that you did better than 80% of the people. If you scored at the 30th percentile, that means that you did better or equal to about 30% of the population. So percentiles can give us an idea of where people are placed. So it's not like first place. First place means that you were the first person, but that percentile would be 99 because that means that you did better than 99% of the people. So keep that in mind. So for the first example, says Jenny earned a score of 86 on her test. How well did she perform relative to the rest of the class? So what I like to do is I like to circle all of the numbers that are less than or equal to 86. Okay, so we're looking for anything less than or equal to. So in your notes, if you don't have this, you want to put this down. Because remember, every time you say, well, miss, how do you do a percentile? I'm going to remind you to go back into your notes. So you want to communicate with your notes. So tell your notes, what are we going to do with that 86? So I want you to write down less than or equal to. So I'm going to go and check in on y'all. I want you to write this down. You want to communicate with your notes. You want to make sure that when you see your notes again, you remember what you wrote. So sometimes we have to give ourselves little margins. And this is what I want you to do when you're in college. So when you see your teacher writing something, that usually means that it's really important. So whenever your professor writes something, you want to write it down. All right, so some of my numbers cut off, but for you all in your Google Classroom, you should have the complete stem plot. So I'm going to circle all the numbers that are less than or equal to 86. So 67, 72, 73, 73, 74, 75, 77. This one is a bit easier because it's already in order for us. They're so nice to do that for us. Keep going. 81, 82, 83, 83, 83, 84, 85, 86. I'm going to stop there. So if I count my number of circles, I should have 22 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So I have 22. So next that means I have 22 over the total amount. Okay. So if I was going to write down notes for myself, I would say that we have less than or equal to less than or equal to 86 over the total amount of observations. So for some of us that may say, well, Miss, how are we about to make that fraction? Is this how we created the fraction? So we have 22 over 25. So 22 numbers were equal to or less than 86. And we have 25 total. Which means that we have 0.88. And remember when we did our practice on how to change fractions to decimals, I divided it. So as a reminder, you need to do 22 divided by 25. And next we're going to change it into a percent. So we move the decimal over 2 times. So that means I'm left with the 88th percentile. And so I'm going to write down what this means. I'm going to interpret it. That's why I interpret this. That means that Jenny scored actually, oh, no worries. Actually, let me change that, okay? I want to keep the same language. So instead of talking about how Jenny scored higher, we're going to talk about how where she places, okay? So what that means is 88% of the class scored equal or less than rather. Let's do less than first. Less than or equal to Jenny's score of 86. Okay, so that's what that means. We have 2 examples. So what I want you to notice is that in a moment, I'm going to move to the next slide that just has the answer. Notice how when I went through the work, I annotated everything I can in order to make sense of it. Right? Don't worry, I'm just waiting for someone else to finish. So if you go to the next slide, notice how it's the same slide, but all it has is the answer in red. So imagine if this slide here is like your book. You know, if you read one of your books in college, this is what it looks like. But when you go into class, this is what you should be writing. So whenever you see the teacher really dig deep in vocabulary, When you see the teacher writing something and explaining it, you want to make sure you write that part as well. Okay? Let's do another example. We're going to talk about wins in Major League Baseball, finding and interpreting the percentile. The stem plot below shows the number of wins for each of the 30 Major League Baseball teams in 2016. Find the percentile for the Detroit Tigers, who had 86 wins. So the first step that I want you to do is remember the word percentile. When you see a word problem, we want to find the vocabulary that we know. And we know that percentile, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Once again, tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Percentile means that we're only looking for the numbers that are less than. Am I right or am I wrong? Take a second, go back to your notes. You don't have to memorize it. Go back to your notes. Percentile, is it just less than? Or is there something else that I need? Go back to your notes and find it. So look back in your notes and let's think about the word percentile. Okay? Look at the definition. Alrighty, so class, percentiles. Am I right or am I wrong? It's only less than. No? It's less than or what then? Equal to. Great job. I'm recording, so you know who you are. Yes. So you want to ensure that you also know that it's or equal to. If you do not include the or equal to, you will be incorrect. Okay? So let's look for all the numbers that are less than or equal to 86. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna circle all of them. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So you want to include 20. I missed one. Let's count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, I missed the 86. 20. So make sure that you include all duplicates. Duplicate means that it's a copy. So that means in this case, I needed to get all of the 86s. Okay, there were 20 of them. Over 30, which was the total. If I put that in my calculator, I'm going to get 0.666. It's going to go on forever. So when you move into your percentile, you want to round it. I did? Oh, I'll erase and I'll do it again. So sorry, y'all. So it's important here, thank you for letting me know, that you include all of your duplicates. So right at 86, make sure you write that you have to circle all 3 86s. There are 20 of them over the 30 total. If you divide this, you're going to get 0.666. It's going to go on forever. So when you make it a percentile, I'm going to do it in a different color. When you do a percentile, you want to round 2 decimal places. So therefore, I'm going to take the first 2 here. So that means I have to look here and round it. So I'm left with not 0.67. I'm left with the 67th percentile. So notice how this percentile I am not using decimals. I'm going to give everyone a moment. If you like, you can either use the notes you already wrote down, or you can use the notes that you already have on your laptop. And you can try B while we wait for some people to finish up that plan. All right, let's keep going then, y'all. So if you look at the response, note that since there were three teams with 86 wins, that means that all three teams are at the 67th percentile. So there can be a tie. Right. Next example. The number of wins for are they still called this? For Cleveland is at the 90th percentile of the distribution. Interpret this value in context. How many wins did the Cleveland team have in 2016? So we want to think about what exactly they're asking of us. In this question, we have two things to answer. First, we must interpret it. Second, we must know how many wins did the team have. Okay. So first, they already tell us that it's at the 90th percentile. So let's interpret it first. So using the definition of a percentile, we know that the Cleveland team won more or equal amount of games than other teams. Now notice how in this case, I put the Cleveland team first, so therefore I said that they won more. Another way that you can say this would be that teams won less or equal games than the Cleveland team. So notice how depending on who you're looking at, that's where you want to be cautious. So if you want to stay within the definition of a percentile, so you always want to use less than or equal to, always use the other topic. If you feel comfortable going back and forth, just keep that in mind. Right? Just give me some eye contact. Let me know if you need me to re-explain that part. No? All right. So lastly, in order to find the next bit, we are going to need a bit more information. So let's talk about what we do know for number 2. We don't quite know how many games the Cleveland team won. And we also don't know their position either. So we don't know that. But we do know how many teams there are in total. We know that they were in the 90th percentile. So if we can figure out these missing parts here, we'll be able to answer that question. The first thing that you want to do is change that percentile, the percent, into a decimal. So as a decimal, this is going to be, let's use a better color. It's going to be 0.90 or 0.9, whichever one makes you feel better. Okay. So now if we look here at this math problem, y'all know how I feel about math. If we can solve this, we'll figure out what is the position. Where should it be? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by 30. The reason why we're multiplying is because x over 30 means x divided by 30. The inverse of dividing is multiplying. So therefore, I'm going to multiply 30 on both sides. Therefore, I get x is equal to 27. Now, mind you, this is the position. This is the location. This is not the number. So that means that it is the 27th number. It means that it is greater than or equal to 27 of the numbers. I'll separate this for y'all. So this part is the most important. We want to remember that it is the position. That's not helpful. We want to remember that it's the position, location. It is not the value. It is the position or location. So what I am going to do is I'm going to count until I get to the 27th number. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Here's my 27th number. So therefore, they won 94 games. Ooh, I ran out of space, y'all. Let's see. Therefore, they won 94 games. And I'll box that one. That's your answer. So on your quiz and test, you'll definitely see a question like this. We'll make sure that we get more practice of it in your Khan Academies. Your work that we're going to do today won't necessarily have that portion, but that was the lesson. Thank you so much if you are online for watching it, and I'll see you later.